No. We did that whole thing for no reason at all.
No.
And then also we got all the way up there and we're like, oh, there's no way down. The whole purpose of it was to avoid the water. And even if there was like, oh, we can go inside and wrap around the stairs and scale down and climb all the way back up, and we still got to go in the water because we had no backup plan for getting out of there.
Yeah, I was like, this is a sunken thing in water. Like, if you went inside, like, there's water in there, man. It's all water.
No,
we gotta go in the water, bud.
We came up with a plan and we avoided the water in one direction.
99th percentile.
99 percentile.
30 minutes.
If you want us to test your one shots the wrong way, hit us up at Unfortunate Ones.
Send them in. Welcome to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. I'm Sav.
I'm Nix.
I'm Graythorn.
And today we are doing our cooldown for our Legend in the Mist one-shot.
Yeah, the Tinderbox demo.
Yeah, the Tinderbox demo.
Yeah, it is the free one that's available on the website. I'll have the website in the description if you guys want to check it out. I think you have to like sign up for it. You have to like give your email and they'll email you the package. It's a pretty small little package, but it has a bunch of stuff in there. But yeah, how did you guys generally? What's your take about the system? And I'll turn it to you, Sav, first.
I actually liked it. So
as players,
yeah, as a player, I liked it. I feel like I would have to see the other end of it because there were definitely moments where I felt what we've talked about before of when you have a simple system. It's so easy. And it allows for the players to participate in the narrative. And then, like, I just always see that immediately being a heavier load on the DM to try and figure out a way to make that work. Though this game is less of the we participate in the narrative and more our roles and everything were very open-ended and how we apply things is very open-ended.
The part that is the most open-ended to players is the creation of your themes and tags,
I was going to say,
which you didn't do.
Yes. It would be the thing that's most open is the character that you're playing rather than like some of these other systems that do that where they lend a lot to players rather than it being like us just canonizing things the whole time.
Yeah, this game doesn't have that.
It wasn't that. It was just very, very simple and open-ended on the character build. And I like that. I think I can really see enjoying. We want to sit down and play a story, and I would have to learn the rules for this. Actually, it would be my pitch for what would be our mid-level game would be for you to run another instance of it, preferably one that you actually write, because I would like it in your style to see how it adapts to a style, and then us making characters in the not homebrew because it's part of the system, but within the rules of being able to do whatever we want, creating whatever themes we want as they apply to our character and tags that we want. Because I think it was really cool, especially the way they very non-narrowly applied to what we were doing, the tags themselves. I think I really like that. And I could see very much enjoying building a character in that way. It actually gave me a lot of ideas for game design to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So from that aspect, I very much enjoyed it.
Gray, your general take?
I have this weird problem where like when I find something that I like in a genre, it tends to set the standard for what I think things should be.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's like when it comes to first-person shooters, Counter-Strike, I think, is like my standard for that.
Yeah.
When it comes to fighting games, like Street Fighter or Tekken.
Sure. Standard bearer, is that what it's called? Is that the phrase of like...
Yeah, I think that'd be a good phrase. So for me, games like AD&D 2E, that is like my standard for most TTRPGs.
For fantasy.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to this system, which is wildly different from anything I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like, even when you take a look at Delta Green, which is my standard for D100 style games, I think you can look at that and then you can look at AD&D and see like, oh yeah, this clicks to me. This makes sense. They're similar in a different way.
Yeah.
They're similar to two different flavors of ice cream, but I like them both. There's some similarities. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to this game, it is wildly different.
It is very different. Yeah.
I feel like things are a bit too open-ended for my tastes.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So like, what were my skills? Like, roll with the blows.
Yeah.
I mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
There was another one.
Like strong throw is one of your things. It's like, how do you interpret that?
Yeah.
In certain situations.
Well, I don't think you're supposed. I think because we've talked about this before when I was talking about designing a system like this, which is it's not supposed to be a gotcha where it's like that's not what that's used for. It's not supposed to be that.
Yeah, I know.
It's good that it's open ended. Is the purpose.
The open endedness to me feels kind of weird. So like,
I feel like I almost want ability scores on top of it.
Maybe.
So that I have a base intelligence for when throwing something as a tag doesn't apply to a situation, I'd still have a base roll.
Yeah, but when you get into the tags, there's this point where it's like, oh, how many of these apply to this situation?
Yeah.
So like, love for the Dale.
Yeah.
Can that apply to everything that we do?
Well, we had to argue it, and there were certain times where, like, I feel like now I'm being reactive. I'm no like my reason for getting into the situation. Love for the Dale made perfect sense. Now I'm being reactive, and I feel like this is no longer love for the Dale. This is survive in the fight. So it's kind of the push and pull. But I totally agree where it's like,
sure, but at the same time,
when
it's
does
like
it apply?
you're fighting this thing for the Dale.
Yeah. I can
Yes.
absolutely see, before we ever played, me and Nix talked about that, where I could absolutely see a player just always applying everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like there's something I didn't do as much as maybe I should have, but it was because this was the opening of the game, and the book doesn't necessarily, or at least the demo doesn't necessarily explicitly say, is like if you were to do that as a player, to be like, well, this tag, well, maybe this tag too, and this tag, I could as a DM, instead of fighting you on being able to do those things, we're like, okay, that could apply. The challenges you're doing and what you're trying to be, I could easily just start throwing my own tags that are the negatives to be like, oh, like we're going to go swimming or something. You're trying to get the chest. Like, oh, it's love for the Dale. I'm trying to do this. Like, okay, like, well, you're in murky water. That's -1 to your power. Your whatever else I want to like add in that moment.
I would
Your
need to see
wet
what the
clothes.
rules are for. I imagine there aren't any. And if you're just improvising counters to the tags, it does make the open-ended tag system kind of meaningless.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there is. So the only example that I saw in the YouTube shorts about or not the shorts, but the YouTube videos about like the explainers of the game, was like it was a character racing or trying to outrun another character.
Sure.
And they added 2 tags that helped them run away. And they were being counteracted by the character chasing them had an athletic tag.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a -1 to their rolls to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So in that instance, there was something that you're getting a negative against. My only thing with what I said right now is I wouldn't necessarily do it, and I didn't do it in our game.
Well, it should be preconceived. It shouldn't be, I'm going to improvise a counter because I don't like what you're doing. That to me means the system's broken. But if it's preconceived and like, oh, the water was always murky and it was always going to be a -1, and then you're adding the love. It doesn't really. It's not really a counter to love of the Dale at that point.
Well, it would be the situation would be if you're again swimming underwater, and if my character is arguing that they want to have all again. It's for me. It would be I could either deny them the use of that tag, or if I feel like their role is going to be too much for what the thing that like that's love of the Dale is their +5 that they're adding to this. They're adding their 5th tag being added to this role.
Yeah, and I think at that point, you put your foot down and be like,
of course.
Is it love for the Dale?
Of course, you could do that. That's what I'm saying. The option could have been.
Or just being like, okay, I'll allow you to do that once. But the moment that you are, like I said, there's certain things that I feel like when they're that general where it's like, I feel like you diving into the water, the murky water that's potentially poisoned or whatever, you're doing that because it's love for the Dale. But when you're trying not to drown, you're not trying not to drown for the Dale. You're trying not to drown to not die. So that one, I feel like no longer applies.
Sure.
I feel like you have to be, the system is so open-ended, you have to be firm when you as a DM do not believe that something applies.
Yeah. I think that is the better approach, but I'm just saying that the system allows for you, if you don't feel like being stern to your players about the tags that they're doing, that you could technically negative tag them on the situations that they're in.
Yeah.
You shouldn't it shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be crazy with it. Like, oh, I'm going to use Love of the Dale. And like, well, the world hates you. That's -1. Like, hey, here's just this random thing that's in the world. But yeah, it is starkly different than a lot of other systems that I've played. And I could see it being weird or uncomfortable. Like your first time playing it, to be like, it's so open-ended, it's unlike everything I've played. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't like it, right?
It was okay.
I'm agnostic.
Okay, sure. But it's sorry, maybe that you don't like it. It's not a system that you wouldn't play again.
Yeah, it's like Dr. Pepper. I'm not a fan of it, but I'll drink it if it's given to me.
Sure.
I think I would rather play this over DCC, especially if we're going to do the character creation thing. I feel like the character sheet was so simple that it wouldn't get in the way of the story, which is what I see oftentimes in crunchier systems, is players are so obsessed with their character sheet that it detracts from their ability to get into the story. They have so many crunchy mechanics that they're constantly thinking about, whereas this one is like, I had a sword. I just got to add a +1 to sword shit, and that's fine. Like, it's not complicated. I didn't have 3 different feats that apply to unique situations with swords. I have a sword.
Yeah.
I feel like it really lends itself to not getting in the way of the story to be so open. That's kind of, I think that would be my drive to play this over other systems, is I feel like, especially if you're trying to tell a story, I feel like this would be really good for it. And it is so agnostic in the way that you can character build. Like, you could build a vampire through the themes and the tags. You could build a vampire. You could build a gunslinger.
Like I said, like you mentioned in the session 0, I think it's like you can make a dragon.
You can make a dragon.
Yeah, you could be anything you want to be.
Dragonborns don't need to exist within the game because you can just make a dragonborn.
Yeah. Like if you want fire breathing, that is just one of your tags that you make in the theme that is, I'm a dragonborn. And you just have fire breathing.
Fire breath. And then it's like, well, what are you doing? And it's like, the people here are cold. I'm going to breathe fire above their heads to try and warm them up rapidly, which is not the normal use that you would think to use fire breath for. But it's like, yeah, add your fire breath to your roll.
The thing is, in most situations, like,
but the building has flammable as a tag.
If you did build a character that way, it's actually probably even sometimes a negative, because if I had a theme that I was a dragonborn and I had all these other things and I wanted to use my dragon's breath, what else do I add to that? Hey, I want to use my fiery breath on this enemy. Okay, I'm going to use dragon breath, my tag.
Sure.
What other tag do you have to add to that?
To make that attack specifically?
Yeah. Like, what other tag do you add to make that stronger? If you made a character so specifically in that theme, it's like, yeah, you could do whatever you want. You could add, like in the YouTube video, there's a character who like, oh, if you want fireball, add fireball. It's like, yeah, you add fireball. Maybe you have another theme where it says schooled in magic arts. And okay, you can add that too. Yeah. Like, you have to have such specific
I think you would need to put more thought into it. Like, sure. I am currently struggling to improvise what other tags that you could possibly put on that, but like I'm sure you could think of some things that would add into it. Because I could think of other Dragonborn things like, scale skin or whatever.
Of course, but
that doesn't necessarily directly.
And scaled skin would be something that you could add to like, roll with the punches is one of the things that the apple picker had. So if your character had roll with the punches and tough skin, scale skin, okay, if you're going to defend yourself, you got 2 tags there.
Mm-hmm.
So like those things play a lot more. But if you had like very specific abilities, and you added those to your tags, it's like, oh, now it becomes harder to pile it.
Don't do fire breath, do fire elemental.
Yeah. Born of fire.
All of a sudden, born of fire, whatever. And
then now
fire wielder.
Yeah. Then now you have more. It's a little bit more open to interpretation. But again, it's one of those things where like, yes, you can be very specific, and that could be
that'd be a
tricky thing.
Yeah.
But it could definitely be more of a detriment than you think it's going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way the power tag system works is just like there's inherently an ability to kind of like if you're trying to do very specific things, it becomes harder.
Mm-hmm.
True, but in the end, the success rate for everything is the same.
Yeah, well, yes,
the base success rate.
Mm-hmm. The base success is predetermined.
Yeah, so it's like if something should be harder to hit, you might, I guess the GM would throw a negative tag onto you or something like that?
Well, it would be preconceived this thing has negative tags, and maybe you would have something that would surpass it. But like, if you're a Dragonborn and you have whatever fire stuff that you added to your sheet, and we're halfway through the campaign, and you didn't know this, but one of the mini bosses or whatever is a fire elemental, and it's like that could be because I think you could add multipliers or whatever. That could be like, oh, a -3 resistance to fire.
Yeah, there's
some tag that has that in it, and it's like, oh yeah, all of a sudden your fire doesn't matter very much.
There's like scales and might systems in there where like, yes, if you were to use a fire ability on a fire elemental, I would probably say there's some sort of scaling system or some sort of thing where like,
I don't know if there is. Is it just you have to stack tags?
No,
or can you have? I thought you could have like a +2 tag as the enemy NPCs.
Yeah, it's a scale is like the. Yeah. It's if you're like a low level creature fighting like a big level thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is just like it has like a 3 or 4 scale on you.
Yeah,
because it's just that much greater than you are.
Sure.
So that is just a general -3.
Oh, a general one on it. Okay, yeah.
So like anything you try to do,
so it has its tags that it would normally have, and then. It also has the scale of difficulty of enemy.
Yes, there's just a scale applied to this thing that you encounter.
Yeah.
So if you were to be like, I could potentially do
Cypher system has something like that.
I could do like a fire scale. Like if you fought a fire elemental, it just has like a fire scale because it is a fire elemental. So like if you try to do anything fire related, everything fire related, just a ton of a minus on it.
Yeah.
So you still could be successful, but like you could have a success with consequences, which means however I want to interpret that, which you could do some amount of damage or you could do no damage. The success is you do the thing, it hits the target. The consequence is you don't see it doing anything. Like it depends on how I want to interpret the moment or you as a DM.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that it does to me feel a little tricky is that like, but granted that's most games is you as the narrator, you as the what does this game call it again? It's a narrator and
you did give 2 terms.
There was 2 terms. Well, you as the narrator, there's so much interpretation to the things that are happening. But that's most games, most TTRPGs. There's a lot of interpretation that like even me as
the whole DC system is interpretation of even what you think is difficult and whatnot.
In 5e, I've had players before who have argued and it has become big arguments about my interpretation of the way a thing should work versus theirs.
Spells and shit like that.
Yeah. So like it just lends to that maybe a little bit more. I really don't know. You guys are fairly like straightforward players. So like
we're not here to break your system when you present us
or
with
break
something.
the game or try to like you'll argue a point. And if the point isn't getting argued, you will be like, okay.
Oh, that was actually one of the notes. So I realized
I got a guy for that.
I realized that we I took some notes of things I wanted to bring up in the cooldown, and I realized they're all just narrative notes and not about the mechanics, which is system exploration is about mechanics. But one of them was, it was. I don't want to talk about it too much either because I don't want to I don't want to reopen the argument, which is kind of my point. The deal at the end of our story was one of the notes that I wrote down, and mostly I just wanted to express it. It was really interesting being on the other end of the deal, where it doesn't matter how right I felt or how just or even didn't fully understand why the deal was being made in the way that the deal was being made. And I tried to push back a little bit, and then it just became clear that okay, we clearly have different perspectives to a degree, not just characters, but potentially even player and DM, and let's just move forward. And so I just dropped it and we just moved forward. You know what I mean? I don't need to sit here and argue with you. It's a small part of a greater story.
Sure.
It's not a big deal, but it was just interesting being on the other end because I do deals all the time in my campaigns, and I can see sometimes my players maybe getting frustrated in that same way. And in my mind, I can only see things, just like you can only see things, whether you're the player or the DM, from your own perspective. But the reality is, the DM always has all of the power. So there's a certain point where you realize there's not being on the player end of a deal is well, if it's a difference of perspective, the reality is that you don't hold cards and you have to find a way to move past it anyways. I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit because I don't think I've ever, as a player, been on the opposite end of a deal like that. I've definitely been the DM in many deals.
I mean, this is the cooldown of this game, and
Sure.
we talk about the mechanics, but we can talk about the game itself. What part of the deal? What was the? What are you talking about?
The deal, the exchange of information versus giving over the item.
Okay. What was funky?
Me and you were pushing back against each other in the nothing was necessarily funky. We were pushing back and forth against each other in the deal.
Oh,
and
sure,
at a certain point, the reality is I mean, I could just forego. I could throw my hands up and walk away with the item, or as I kind of wanted to do, just throw it in the water and say fuck it. But the story wouldn't have moved forward. Right?
It would have.
Well, yes. Also, that wasn't it wasn't why we were there. But what I wasn't going to do, what wasn't going to happen, is I wasn't going to just brute force my way through the deal and win. And that kind of became clear. And then it's oh, just move forward then.
I don't think I mentioned it on the recording, but the way that the tinderbox, the way the demo is set up is, I didn't necessarily know how to interpret the conversation between you and the character.
Sure.
One of the consequences for the character was tempted one.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the listed consequences.
Which gave me an even easier out.
But what I was going to do is one of the other temptations was listed as if the players have the item, if they have the opal, if they've already gotten it.
Yeah.
There's a sleep 4 that can get applied.
You mentioned.
So I was literally a step away before you toss it to her.
Going nappy boost.
To give you guys so now you both have sleep 4. And then that question of when you're fighting the tempting thing, do I recognize that it's being tempted? I'd be no, you recognize, you have a sleep 4. You recognize
that you're being manipulated.
Yeah. You're very, very sleepy.
Yeah.
And so I was and even in the setup, in the way that the game works, if the players attack this character, they just disappear.
Yeah.
They just vanish out of existence, and there's a little bit of a line in there where they try to take it from you. They try to sneaky, as you guys are not paying attention, they'll try to come and steal it from you.
I didn't get the impression that we were supposed to fight him. All of me being skeptical of him just felt fun to do in character. I didn't think we were supposed to fight them. I think you presented it pretty well.
I was supposed to present it mischievously. That's one of the ways I was
maybe you didn't, because here's the thing. Regardless of how I felt as a player, I looked at them as if they were mischievous.
Yes. It's part of the reason why I wanted to I kept asking if you guys look back to the character. I wanted you to notice that the character is just standing there looking at.
You mentioned that a couple times.
I wanted them to feel weird or
Yeah.
like
Oh, they definitely
like-
felt weird.
off in some way. So like I wanted to help push that
Yeah.
and drive that narrative forward with that character because that's what I was told to present is like a mischievous character that you don't necessarily want to make
Sure.
this deal for. But the game also says if you do give up the opal,
Well,
here's a fucking paragraph and a half of like
yeah,
of lore to
of
drop.
lore for no reason.
That's why like even when you guys got it, you guys like stopped asking questions. I was like, there's still like 2.5 paragraphs of lore I could drop.
Nah,
we're
I
never
didn't trust
doing the
children
perception
of the
check
woods or
on the
whatever.
back of the board. Okay.
No, the only reason why I bring up the deal is to emphasize something that you said, where you were like, you guys are pretty straightforward players, and you don't like try and argue or anything like that. Where like I had a moment
Yeah.
where I felt like arguing, and then I was like, this is a game. Who cares? Let's
Yeah.
continue the story.
You know there's a story being told. Let's be a part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to understand why you're doing things necessary. It's better when you do.
Sure.
Always better when you do. But I don't need to for
Yeah.
the story to be able to continue. Especially
Yeah.
for a fucking one shot. Who cares? Not the sleep. What was the other
Tempted.
tag? Tempted was weird. Tempted was weird because I knew I was tempted. As a player, I knew I was tempted. But as a character, at least when we talked it out, and I think your judgment was correct, my character didn't know they were tempted. But if my character doesn't know that they're tempted and they are tempted, then there's no reason for me to not just play as if I'm tempted. So all of a sudden, I've lost all cards in the conversation. I can't play against the deal. I can't play against the conversation in any way without being meta.
I
And
think
so that felt
yes.
weird to me. I wonder if it's supposed to be like Tempted One. You almost don't even tell the player about it. Like kind of like hidden roles. It'd be like, hey, just so you know, mark it on your sheet. You have one tag that is currently being applied to you. And then keep the conversation going. Now you have two until it gets to the point where it's like 3 or whatever. And it's like, all right, now you are charmed and you are tempted to take this deal. Once it passes that, because isn't it like 3 slots or something? Once it passes that threshold.
Well, it's 5 is technically the incapacitated one. Other than that, there's no call out specifically.
Oh, so then maybe it's not. Then the tempted was just a weird tag.
It was. I think part of me agrees with you in terms of the way to do it. I think this game wants you to do more roles than I called for because I'm so much more of an RP enjoyer.
Yeah.
That like if you guys are just RPing in the moment, I don't really like necessarily making calls for roles.
Yeah.
I think this game wants you to do more roles. I think a way to do it, like you're saying, is it's a hidden bonus. So that when a character is like, well, no, I want them to take my deal. Like when you were trying to press me on the deal for like the character is like, no, you listen to me. I maybe should have called you to make a roll that like, oh, this is your persuasion check.
Yeah.
Versus me just arguing in character of like, this is what I want to do for my character. I think if I called you to make the roll and go, okay, then you add up your tags. And then I go, all right, add -2 for tempted. And like, you're like, what? When did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm adding it. Like you're like, it's a hidden stat.
Yeah.
And I'm adding to your rolls, and you're like, oh wait, like whoa, what's going on? It's like, no, that affects your roll.
Yeah. Well, you could do like a, hey, I'm not going to tell you what this tag is, but you have a 1 tag condition, and that's a minus to your rolls.
Yeah.
And then later reveal like, and then you can start figuring it out too, because then I try and make a persuasion check, and then it's like, oh, now that -2
Yeah.
comes in play. And it's like, oh, what? Oh, I can't persuade. What's going on there? Then it starts to feel weird. I was talking to my brother about hidden check. No, I was talking to you about hidden checks. When were we hanging out? Anyways, maybe it was my brother. I was talking about hidden checks and how great they are, and I was talking about like one fantastic use of them is charm, where let's say it's D&D, and I try and charm your character. If it's not an overwhelming charm, at least there's a degree of you need your player to play into it, but there's also a degree where like you guys don't know that a check even happened.
Sure.
Right? Where Grey and Nix, you guys are interacting with a person trying to get information or whatever. And then I just make some checks in the background and I go, Grey, you start to feel like Nix is pressing too hard. He's being too aggressive in this conversation. And you don't like it. And you don't know why. But it's because I charmed you, and I charmed you into thinking those things, and I'm just slowly going to feed you subtle things telling you how your character feels about a situation. You know what I mean? But it's a very different feel, and there's way less mystery when I go, Grey, Nix, roll me a check. Nix, you pass. Grey, you fail. You are charmed. It's a very different feeling. You know what I mean?
Sure. And to an extent, I don't know how many players would be so responsive to you telling them how their character is feeling. It's
I did that all the time without checks.
Sure.
You're sad.
Sure. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of nuance there.
I add tags to players all the time in games that don't have tags.
Yeah. I mean,
you see this body and it reminds you of a body that you saw when you were a young child. And in this moment, despite all of the bodies that you've seen in your life, this one rocks you. You feel shaken. Anyways, what are you doing? For no reason.
I think at least one of the takeaways I've had from it, what I was saying earlier, is just like, I think I was supposed to call for more rolls.
That could be.
Because it's definitely, as playing 5e as like my main system, I've gotten away and have wanted to get away from like having to do rolls. And so I think this game just is like the opposite. There's heavy RP in this game. It feels like it wants to have heavy narrative, but also it wants to have so much of the narrative, I think, be justified through rolling. I think part of that is also like the whole I
kind of got opposite impressions, not specifically about RP, but because of the tag system and because it's so open, it's like when checks come into play, the skill of your character is really important, but the checks can only cover so many things. It almost feels like you're not supposed to roll very often.
No, that's how I played the game. That's how I
it felt
DM'd it
to me.
I'm just saying that like to make those little things about those statuses work better.
Yeah.
I think maybe, but again, I think part of it too is also the whole like me as a DM, I don't have a turn.
Yeah.
I don't have a turn in this system. I have a response.
That I think was weird. We ran into that a couple of times with the like snake thing. Where it's just like, we ran into it also like with the zombie. The immediate thought that I had, it was just like, the first thing I did was get defensive. And then I had the thought, I was like, well, you don't get a turn. So if I just don't attack you and you can't react, what happens? I think it would be you just being like, it is attacking you. What are you doing? Yes. And then that's a roll. I think that's the way to do it.
There's countdowns too. So like I can establish a countdown, which is your inactivity is in and of itself something that I can react to.
Yeah.
So like if you choose to stand still, like, yes, I don't necessarily have a response. Yeah. But you standing still for too long gives me the ability to respond.
Yeah, and I think you could do it in both ways, where either you are reacting and you just make an attack against me, or you could also just turn that attack into a roll for the player, where like the zombie's coming at you, what are you doing? I'm standing still, I'm defending myself. It's coming at you, I'm defending myself. Okay, it is going to attack you. It is swinging in your direction. What is your response? What are you trying to do? It's like, oh, I'm gonna try and dodge out of the way, or I'm gonna slash it before it could get to me, or whatever. And it's like, okay, now roll for that. Yeah. I think that's maybe a good way to do the countdown or timer, or just butt up against the idea that you don't have a turn.
I mean, it's my first time playing the game, so I think there's a lot of those little things that I've learned.
I wouldn't have necessarily thought. I might have sat there as the DM and been like, I guess I can't attack him. If it was my first time.
Kind of feels like a different flavor of Kids on Bikes.
Yes, I got a big sense of that too.
Yeah.
The closest thing I could relate it to that
we've played,
is Kids on Bikes.
Yeah. Although I do think it was a lot of the things that I was saying about Kids on Bikes were like, it goes further in the direction that I was saying what would make Kids on Bikes a better system, which is for it to be tags and to be more open, because you guys had things in Kids on Bikes. There's a push and pull here. So you had things in Kids on Bikes that you guys kept bringing up, and I was like, I don't think that makes any sense. So no, you can't add that. It was like you guys were like, oh, protecting or whatever, and I was like, well, there's specific words to that ability though, and no, you're not really protecting anybody in this moment, so I don't actually think that it applies. And my pushback against Kids on Bikes was, I think it should not have a definition, and it should just be protective. And then you can just apply it anywhere, and it's not the DM's job to gotcha for not being able to apply it. But also, like we talked about earlier, Kids on Bikes has something that I think this system doesn't and maybe needs. Kids on Bikes has ability scores.
Sure.
Well, they have abilities. They don't have ability scores.
I think the undefined nature of the tag system is something like what you were saying, which is like it is part of the whole thing. Is it lends to your ability to interpret what it means.
Yeah.
I think because this game has that is why it chose to do the set success rates. Like you are going to fail on a roll of 6 or less. You're going to succeed on 7 to 9, and you're going to succeed without consequences on 10 and above.
I don't know if it's all D100 systems, but my purpose in trying to write a D100 system and my purpose in converting D&D into a D100 system is very intentionally trying to chase Delta Green for the non-DC success or failure thing that it has, where it's like your ability to shoot a gun is 40. Roll your D100. If it's under 40, you shot your gun. You succeeded.
Sure.
And this system has a similar non-DC based set success rate.
Sort of. I think the difference is Delta Green has skill specific you boost or negate the ability. So there is a predetermined success rate, but because it is skill based, it is like you get to boost it in particular ways. I think that changes necessarily how it gets done, which is there isn't a default. The whole world operates on specific numbers. So like it isn't like, in Delta Green.
Well, there's no lucking. Well, no, there is still even lucking your way in Delta Green. As long as you have Delta Green has the if you have 0 in something, you can't do it at all. But beyond that, yeah, if some commoner or whatever has melee 10 and rolls a critical success, rolls a 1, they get to do it, which means anybody in the world shooting a gun rolls a 1. Maybe not anybody if you have a 0, but it passes for everyone. So it is a pretty set DC.
I mean,
that's not how combat works, to be fair, in Delta Green. I mean, so Delta Green has contested rolls, and that is where it varies away from this, in my opinion. But for RP style rolls, it very much is fixed. This was always going to be a stealth check, and stealth is a predetermined DC based on you and your skills.
Sure. I'm just saying that Legend in the Mist is like everyone could do anything.
Yeah,
because
it doesn't have the 0 can't do.
You actually have 2 numbers in the whatever 12 percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You have 11 and 12 that you can hit naturally on the dice.
Yeah.
To do anything without consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You could do up to 5 numbers of doing something with consequences. And even the way that the game works is even if you succeed with 0 added power, it still counts when you apply effects to add 1 power or to have 1 as if you had 1 power.
Yeah.
Like the game does have, if you have no skills in anything, you can just do things. Granted, if I don't apply negative tags,
I do like the whole consequences thing. I think
the consequences was nice. I like that there is a big chunk of window where you succeed and I get to do something. I get to do something negatively against the character.
Yeah. Daggerheart has that as well with the whole fear system. I do like that. I also do. I don't know if I like it more than turns, though. But I do like the spotlighting because the focus is on the party, and it's only when you fuck up as the party that the DM does stuff. Otherwise, you guys are doing stuff. It's your game.
I like that the whole party gets to play in Legend of the Mist Spotlight. I like the spotlight, the way that the scene resolves.
Sorry, I'm such a masochist. I just had a thought, and you're going to hate it, and you're going to love it.
Oh,
go ahead and finish.
But the scene resolves when every character does their thing. The thing I really did like you mentioned about Legend of the Mist, is that everything any character does gets a reaction narratively from the narrator. So like in D&D, if you succeed your roll, sometimes you just succeed your roll, you do damage, and that's about it.
Oh, a lot of the time, especially with how bogged down combat gets in D&D specifically, and Pathfinder, a lot of times it's like, okay, you hit, what's your damage? Is that the end of your turn? Cool.
Next person.
And I know a lot of DMs would probably hear that and be like, well, that's not a very good damage. And it's like, dude, when you've played a 6-hour fucking combat, you're done describing sword slashes. And I'll lend Pathfinder is way more interesting combat-wise. Fucking D&D, your player's a fighter. They've had 10 turns. You know what they've done every single turn? Twice, sometimes 4 times? Slash.
Yeah.
That's it. It gets boring and monotonous to fucking describe that over and over and over again. Whereas this is, again, like you said, it definitely emphasizes every single turn getting a narrative response.
Yeah, and having the one, it's depending on how much power and tags you add, most things happen fairly quickly, it feels like, because like if you get to add 2 or 3 power, that's 2 hits, that's 2 successes away from permanently dealing with problems.
Yeah.
But because I get to react narratively, and because the consequences are open-ended, I can have enemy movement, I can have damage, I can have even allies receive consequences based off of whatever it is that you're doing, or you lose positioning. So like, I did like that part, that like every action from a player, I get the moment to respond narratively.
Yeah.
So I did like that part of Legend of the Mist and how it handles the whole spotlighting system.
I do like also the simplicity of the consequence is just an immediate consequence. Daggerheart has that, but Daggerheart also has feats that like, oh, this baddie can spend 2 fear and do this specific thing.
Yeah.
Which is neat. It's no longer simple. I like, if you're going to have a simple thing, have a simple thing. And I like that the consequences are very much just, hey, consequences. DM, improvise.
Yeah.
And the DM can determine.
There's some, like,
based on the fun of the game, the DM can determine whether those need to be heavy consequences or light consequences. If you are in a combat and the combat's relatively even and you go to hit a combatant and there's consequences, maybe they just hit you back.
Yeah.
Or if you are in a combat and you guys are fucking just doing a wipe of the bad guys and it's not supposed to be an easy combat, and then you fail with consequences or whatever, then the DM could be like, okay, the guy that you're fighting is going to take a step back and start shouting to the guys around him, and he's going to rally the troops. You're going to get multiple attacks against you. Like, and it feels, oh shit, the consequences hit me. And the DM could just determine that.
And the character blocks in the game do have like suggestions for like what are the consequences, but also even in the rules, it was like interpret how you will.
So I told you there's a masochist thing, which Nix you're gonna hate, and I think Grey you're gonna like. Where I said I like the consequences thing, but I'm not sure that I like it more than turns. What if you have both? What if you had turns so the bad guy already gets turns, but also when your player fucks up, you get even more consequences? It's just always in favor of the baddies.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about that too.
Just double down. Fuck it.
Just having some form of consequences or like some sort of narrative response to what your players are doing as they're doing it. Yeah. But you as the DM, you as the GM, you still can move plot forward.
Yeah.
And you still can do things with the pawns at the table.
Yeah.
And
consequences doesn't have to be directly damage either.
No, of course not. The only way for me to do damage, quote unquote, or for me to inflict statuses is through the responses.
Yeah.
But if your game had a different way of interpreting damage or whatever, doesn't necessarily, the narrative response doesn't have to be damage.
Yeah.
The narrative response could
be
just
rallying the other guys, and then you're surrounded.
Yeah. It could just be positional things. It could be, whatever else, your armor gets broken, they find a new piece of, they add an ability to them. So when it is their turn, they have a thing. But it also lends to like dealing with like large amounts of enemies, which is like, you don't have to as a DM. I don't have to move. If I have 10 pawn pieces on my turn, I don't have to move every single 10 pawn pieces.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're here. Okay, now this character gets attacked by 3 times. Okay, so you have 3 attacks against Gray. Okay, now I have 4 attacks against Sav. The other 2 guys, they're moving over here. I don't have to do that. I can just respond to what the players are doing and be like, okay, you get this. Now your consequences are you have 3 shots against you. And now you have 3 wound. Are you going to react to that? And blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I actually did really like I
like the consequences thing.
Yeah.
I liked it in Daggerheart too. My struggle with Daggerheart is just how quickly the DM collects
the fear.
And then I just don't want anything driving me that often to have to do things in RP.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to drive you to be like harsh. I think the system, from my interpretation and from what I've seen of Daggerheart, it's supposed to be like very heavy-fisted to the players.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you're gonna, there's a lot of character death, there's a lot of like damage, there's a lot of
no. I'm pretty sure that is conflating the way that Matt Mercer ran that mini campaign with how the system is supposed to be ran.
Sure, I just think, at least in my mind, if you're building up that much fear, like that's the part.
Yeah,
that
but here's what's
pushes it.
dumb is that fear doesn't have to be used as a bad thing, which makes the word fear no longer fitting. In fact, it advises you not to.
Potentially.
An interesting thing and then a compliment. And then that pretty much wraps up.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
It's a very simple system, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. So interesting thing was my character was built for being a warrior and combat and whatnot, and your character was an apple picker. And so I got to do an interesting thing that I don't normally get to do, which is I got to be the hero. And this was after we killed the zombie. And I was like, I'm going to stay in the field. You go do this, 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 and this. Which sounds like my character being like, I'm going to die on this hill or blah, blah, blah. But what it actually ended up being in game was you got to RP for 15 minutes while I didn't play the game. So not only did I get to be the hero, you got to play instead of me, which was just a fun little interaction. It's the opposite of how I normally see it, which is like, I get to be the hero and therefore
I do everything.
Your background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just an interesting point that I wrote down.
Just real quick, the game that I saw the people play, the apple picker threw apples at the sentry. that was their thing. They did damage by throwing apples at the.
Why not?
Thing. That was just what they interpreted how to use the ability.
The apple picker comes with a sling.
Yeah.
So
sling the apples.
Yeah.
Hard as you can.
Yeah.
It's funny because the example I saw was this exact scenario. It was only 2 people playing, and it was the red marshal and an apple picker.
Yeah.
That was like
Who
how
wants to play the wise one and then bring the wise one in anyways?
The wise
Did they
one,
do that?
Yes, the wise one was brought in after. But the wise one was like walking down the road, if I remember it correctly.
Lame. We went and got
fetch.
the wise one. It made for great storytelling. I love the wise one being there. The other one was a compliment. In the very beginning of the campaign, of the story, in Ravendale, or Ravensholm.
Ravensholm.
You were like, we're surrounded by farms and barley fields. Everywhere, as far as the eye can see. And then we got further deeper into play, and we had that moment where I sent Nix's character to go get people in town. and I saw it on your face where they were like, where do I go to find the red marshal? And then Gray, you were like, in the barley field. And I saw it on your face, Nix, where you're like, that's not a and you're like, fuck it. Oh, okay, I'm on my way. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. The reason why it's a compliment is because I'm an asshole, and I know Gray, I know you're a fucking asshole too. I absolutely would have been like, which one? Which barley field? I would have been a stickler about it. Not intentionally, it would have been like a Passover thing that I wouldn't have thought about, and I'd be like, oh no, I need to reestablish the geography here. So
sure,
just so you're aware as a player, there's barley fields everywhere. And I saw for you for a moment a small twinge of like, well, there's barley fields everywhere.
Sure.
And then you were just like, yeah, fuck it. It's the barley field. Yep, let's go. This is a small compliment that I think that is a much better way of handling it. Way smoother than me being an idiot and being like, which one? You have to tell me exactly which. Is it the northern one?
You could argue the point of which direction, or you get that there is a direction the characters want to go, and you even say without saying, where the character is probably even pointing as they're talking to the barley field, and it's like, oh yeah, in that direction.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, and it should be fine.
Yeah.
I would have been pedantic.
I also, just a quick note, there is a version that's in the demo where you guys both return the little girl to town, and there's an entire town meeting that happens.
Pass.
And there's Eleonora and two other people of the town who are like arguing of like what to do. And there's a version of the outcome that is everyone in the town is in a panic, that they gather up all their wagons and they leave. And you guys head out in the morning to go deal with the problem. When I read that, I was like, but how? Who tells them what direction to go?
Yeah, you just go. You go and deal with the problem.
It's like it just in the demo. It's just like what, and then you pick up like as everyone leaves, and then you motivate your players to go in the direction. Okay. In my head, when I wrote it down, I was like, fuck. If they choose this path, I was like, I don't know. Somebody shows up and says, hey.
Yeah, it's just over exposition. Like, you guys need to solve this problem before the townspeople can come back. You knew where the zombie was, and based on the way it approached, you could tell which way it was coming from as you look out towards the mountains beyond, blah, 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 blah.
I was going to suggest that, or what I was going to do was Willow, the little girl, was going to come back to you guys as like in the morning as everyone's like still leaving. She's like, I snuck off and I went to go look and I found a trail. I found a path that I would have that's what I would have done.
Sure.
Is I would just have Willow tell you that there's a path.
Pivot somehow.
Yeah. Because I was like, but I'm so glad because it was already much longer than I thought it was going to be for you guys to do this.
You're welcome.
And I was like, fuck, I'm glad you guys didn't go back to town and do this whole thing.
That whole George of the Jungle scene was so dumb.
Dude, it's when you guys were starting to talk about it, it's one of those moments where we talk about it as a DM where you're just, I wish I could just have a black screen that I could fall behind and be like, what are these guys doing?
We knew it. We knew it the whole time.
By the time that the child of the Twilight or whatever showed up and said the chest over there right up in front of the door, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're not supposed to go in there, but we're gonna do it anyway.
But I don't want to go in that water. It looks gross. There was also in the back of my mind, I was like, well, Nick said 30 minutes and we could record up to 4 hours, so let's go do this dumb thing first for funsies. And hey, as dumb as it is, maybe there is like a backdoor thing. I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. No. We did that whole thing for no reason at all.
No.
And then also we got all the way up there and we're like, oh, there's no way down. The whole purpose of it was to avoid the water. And even if there was like, oh, we could go inside and wrap around the stairs and scale down and you could just see the chest on the other side and maybe we had to fish it out or whatever. And then we climb all the way back up and we still got to go in the water because we had no backup plan for getting out of there.
Yeah, I was like, this is a sunken thing in water. Like if you went inside, like there's water in there, man. It's old stone and like a door probably. No. It's all water.
No,
we gotta go in the water, bud.
We got it. We came up with a plan and we avoided the water in one direction.
99th percentile.
99% die.
30 minutes.
If you want us to test your one shots the wrong way, hit us up at Unfortunate Ones.
Send them in. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Was that your last? Yeah, I thought you had 2 points.
No, it was the hero moment I thought was interesting.
Oh yeah,
and then your acceptance of the barley thing was my compliment to you. Last note that I would like to say, just because I presume a decent amount of people would skip the session 0, is pretty cool, and something that I think every system should do is the game had, and we've talked about it a lot already, but just to emphasize, the game had a demo in the back of the book. It's a one-shot. It's very, very short, and it's just to get players used to the system and how it works with pre-made characters in like a 30-minute adventure. And I know a lot of TTRPGs have an adventure module in the book, but oftentimes they're full adventure modules or mini campaigns or even full one-shots or whatever. I think having like a snippet demo, even if you're going to do a full adventure, I think that's a wonderful thing to put in your books. I'm really glad they did it. Was it called the Tinderbox?
So they have 2 different things in for this game.
Sure.
They have a solo adventure,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a graphic novel. It's like 50 pages.
That's cool.
So you could play as somebody who's just trying to learn the basic idea of the game. You
Mhm.
play it solo. In the book, they actually do have like, you could play this game with just by yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's a set consequence system.
Yeah.
There are versions of adventures that are just, you roll, you add your tags, and then you almost like Goosebumps.
Yeah,
like
not Goose. Choose your adventure.
choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
So like the graphic novel is choose your own adventure.
I think that's great.
With your success.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's an interesting way where like it works for this game.
It's funny. It's funny because we had actually talked about doing that at one point, and then you found a game system that did it.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
But I do like the Tinderbox demo. It's just a free thing that like they offer on their website. Again, like I think I said at the beginning, you have to give them an email and they'll send you the thing.
I'd throw it in the book if I was the designer.
Yeah.
And I think we should do that moving forward. I think that's a really great thing. So if you ever pick up this rule book and you want to try it out with your friends, there's literally a 30-minute Tinderbox adventure to get them used to it and whatnot. And I would even say, like, even if you intend
it can be like 30 minutes. We played like an hour.
I think we played longer than that.
It was like an hour and a half, I think.
But either way, but we're idiots. Either way, I think it's a really cool thing that they did, and I think all the more reason if you're ever interested to pick it up, because you could pick it up, very easily learn the system, very easily play it, and decide whether you want to continue or not.
Yeah,
and I think that's wonderful. All right, any last words?
Gray, you have anything else?
All right.
I thought it was interesting. It was a nice little system.
I liked it. Oh, you know what we didn't do?
Huh.
And it's too late and I don't want to. The ad part of it.
Oh, yeah. We'll just, in the middle of the thing, we'll just have
a floating
art.
Yeah. Anyways. Buy it.
Try it out. At least the demos.
Thank you for listening to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. I'm Sav.
I'm Nix.
I'm Graythorn.
And you can see our various links in the description to our Patreon, to our website, to other video series in our channel, as well as our personal links, all in the description below. Like, subscribe, hit bells, do stuff. I don't know what else exists. Thank you. Good night.
Bye.